Hello everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm Chibi Noob.
I'm Envy Jitters.
I'm CheerandCosplay.
And I'm Kozi.
And we're back with more stuff from Trigger. We've been watching a few... I feel like we've all seen some stuff from them before last week with not Promare, that was the week before. We watched Gurren Lagann last week and some other stuff. We had two people missing. Real quick, CC, Kozi, what were your thoughts on Gurren Lagann? If you can do it in under 30 seconds.
Yay.
Believe in the me who believes in you.
Sounds good to me. Moving on from that, we this week we watched Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the show they put out with Netflix. Was that like, when did that come out? Was that like right after the video game, or was it right around the same time?
2022.
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A significant chunk after.
Yeah, I mean...
It came out after the game launched in a disastrous state, and everybody thought that the anime was going to be a disaster because, well, the game was a disaster. And it turned out not to be the case.
They technically weren't made by the same people, so that's something. I do have a small question in regard to the game, because I did hear that the launch was awful, but I had heard different opinions about whether they had, like, fixed the game as it went on.
The game is fixed now. The game is what it's supposed to be at launch.
Game's fixed, y'all.
Yeah. That's just kind of the industry standard now of just let's release a half-finished game and then finish it in the next 3 years with patches.
Pretty much. They added a significant story expansion last year called, I think it was Tales of Liberty or something like that, and it was considered really good by people, so yeah, maybe don't release a game, you know, half-baked that you've been promising as the next coming of Christ for 3 years, and then it comes, or more than that, actually, but that's just my soapbox.
It was in production for so long. I don't think they could have not released it even though it wasn't done.
Yeah. Well, I might check it out at some point. Maybe not. Have no idea. I tend to do that a lot of times with games nowadays where it's like, yeah, no, I know on release it's going to be bad. I'm going to wait for it to get patched 6 times. So.
That's fair.
Yeah. So this...
It's kind of like with conventions. You never want to go to the first year in case it's DashCon or TanaCon.
Fair.
Gotta give it a couple years to find their feet.
Fair
like, alright, I'll check this one out.
I don't think this anime needed patched, though, so that's good.
No.
So, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, I'm assuming I was the only person here who hadn't seen this before. Is that about right?
No.
No, you hadn't either?
Nope.
Alright, what was your initial... Well, like, did you guys... I'm assuming you guys watched this when it came out, everybody else?
Yeah, more or less.
I didn't watch it immediately. I think I waited like a month, and then I watched it a month after it came out.
That's still, like, about when it came out, so... Alright. Chibi, what were your initial thoughts on this? First impressions in that? First off, I ended up watching like 6 episodes of this today, because I found a little bit of spare time between stuff.
Oh, so you're almost done.
Almost.
So I watched the first 3 episodes, and maybe it's because this was a dub. I will just say that this didn't feel like an anime. It felt more like an American cartoon. At least vibe-wise. I don't know why. But I thought it was like a good starting point, good introduction to the world and like our characters and everything. I don't really have too much of like foreknowledge of what this franchise is prior to watching this. So I'm going in like blind. But I like what I saw so far.
Yeah, I mean, I did end up watching more than the normal requirement for us, so I was enjoying myself and found the world of it all very interesting. Yeah, this was based on, like, originally was based on the Cyberpunk tabletop role-playing game, which came out in, like, 1988. And I guess they've had subsequent versions of it over the years. I think 2077 is the one that everyone probably knows about, like, right now from, CD Projekt Red, I think is the studio. And
yes.
Yeah, so, and now they've got this. Yeah, it's one of those like things of where like, okay, I've definitely seen a lot of this, but it all still feels very like kind of a fresh take on Blade Runner and like how many other cyberpunk dystopia type things that we've had. So it's keeping my interest so far, and I'm interested so far to see where it all goes. I've heard, without going into spoilers, that it does not end well for everybody, but I mean, when does a dystopia series ever, you know?
Nah.
I will say this. You said you watched episode 6 today, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that is the point of no return. That is where shit really hits the fan with the series.
Yeah, if I'm following my regular knowledge of stories and stuff, yeah, it feels very much that.
It also goes, in my opinion, like a little bit downhill with the time skip.
Well, I didn't know there was going to be a time skip, but you know.
Oh.
Let's be a little bit wary of spoilers on this. Like, I don't know where we're going to be yet with Chibi.
Literally not that big of a time skip.
Okay, if it's like a couple months, then that's whatever, but like, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a couple months.
I wasn't sure if it was going to be like, hey, there's going to be a 10-year time skip in the middle of this right before the last episode.
No.
That will probably throw me for a little bit of a loop. But, yeah.
No.
So, yeah, why don't we talk about this a little? Talk plot and that. I mean, I think the Cyberpunk overall is kind of its own thing as far as like the world building and that. I mean, I mentioned Blade Runner a little bit, but it kind of feels like it's got a few of those other I mean, name a cyberpunk dystopia thing. I think gonna get his name real quick. Mike Pondsmith was originally creating it, probably was like drawing from every dystopian, like futurist kind of thing from the 80s to make that game, and then it kind of shows in this. It has a bit of an 80s feel a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so with the clothes, a little bit.
Yeah, or at least, like, this is exactly what everyone thought the future was gonna look like in the 80s.
I feel like that's almost unavoidable with this genre at this point.
Yeah.
I think it was like established in the 80s, so it's always going to have like the 80s baked into it.
It's like trickle-down economics. We're never going to really escape it.
It's amazing how it's a cult classic now, but like back then when Blade Runner came out, I heard it wasn't that big of a success at the box office, but just look how much that movie inspired for. I know it wasn't the first futuristic, sci-fi setting ever, but it's set the template for, I think, the modern cyberpunk kind of futuristic look.
From at the very least a visual standpoint, I'll agree with that. I'm seeing a lot of that here, and except they do add a little bit more color. I would kind of say that might be on Trigger's end, but I don't know. That I haven't played the game, so I don't know. Has anyone played the game to know like what's the look like compared to this?
Lots of ads.
It's the same world.
Lots of ads?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a Trigger show.
Ads.
Oh, ads.
It's lots of ads. So there's like a lot of high color, like in the setting itself. But the world feels pretty like dreary and overcast a lot in the game. The vibes from the show to the game are a lot different. Like it takes place in the same world, but it doesn't feel like it does.
Dark, like undertones, but like very high oversaturated like overtones a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Like being crushed under the weight of capitalism.
So
yet another
like
Trigger
the
thing.
city at night with a lot of really, really bright billboards.
Yeah. Okay.
But also they're directly in your brain.
That too.
Yes, very good.
That's fun. That was another thing I was gonna bring up eventually, was the Ghost in the Shell kind of feel that it has a little bit. I think especially with the character Lucy, feels very much like modeled after the Major in design, if not character necessarily.
I would agree
Definitely
with that.
not character.
Not character, but definitely like somewhat of the aesthetic at least.
Yeah, another one of those mainstays. So yeah, but this shows a little more about a guy named David Martinez, who is
Loser.
wrong side of the tracks kind of kid who was at a private school, got kicked out, came back, kicked some guy's ass with a military-grade spine that he got from his mom, who was an EMT, after she died, and then proceeded to... Is this Oliver Twist? Am I crazy? Like, orphan kid gets picked up by a bunch of criminals and then joins their gang? Am I nuts? I feel like... I don't know if I'm just, like, reaching for stuff. I know it's, like, one of those, we're all telling the same 12 stories over and over and over again. But I feel like I'm starting to feel some, like, this modern retelling sort of thing.
I mean, I never read Oliver Twist, but I don't remember him having cybernetic enhancements.
Did you see Oliver and Company? I feel like I'm talking to a Disney kid.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Oliver and Company?
Yeah, Oliver and Company. That's what it is.
Oh, shit.
Did you not make that connection?
I only saw it like once or twice when I was really little.
Hey, I'm about to blow your mind. Lion King is Hamlet.
You're gonna say Lion King is Hamlet? Yeah.
And you're never gonna believe this. Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, Othello.
Yeah. Lion King 1.5, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Oh, wait, I thought Lion King 2 was Romeo and Juliet.
It is. The Othello thing was a joke.
Okay, gotcha.
I was gonna say you can make the argument both ways.
I just ruined the joke. I'm sorry.
I think Othello is a very different story from that. But Iago makes a thing in Aladdin, so there you go. Yeah, so David's doing being now a cyberpunk and an edge runner, which I think the story establishes are kind of the synonyms, so they're the same thing. Feels like a bit of a chai tea situation, but I won't complain because
they're just hackers.
I mean, they're hackers and you know, criminal theft.
Yeah, I know they're
larceny?
stealing stuff, but like the running is very specifically about hacking and data theft. Like the weapons stealing thrown in on top of that was really weird.
All right. Runs into someone who's stealing people's data chips out of their neck in a subway, upway, something elevated train system, and then joins her, and then joins her crew after they try to rip his spine out. And then from there, it's he's off to the races learning how to be a criminal. And he's not doing too bad of a job so far. Chibi, how far was episode 3 into it?
So episode 3, he met them and he finished up the first job with Lucy.
Okay.
And then the one guy with the 3 eyes on the one side of his face showed up.
Giancarlo Esposito?
Yes, and he was talking to Maine, basically being like, hey, could you be a little bit more discreet next time? And it sort of ended with that.
I worry about him getting typecast too much as the upper crust villain at this point. I feel like he's got more range than that, but...
I think he does, but unfortunately he has the charisma for that.
Yeah. I just feel like he's got more room to, like, stretch out a little bit, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
I'd hope, anyway. There was talk about him as Professor X, but then he said he didn't want to be in the wheelchair for the movie. And I'm like, why do you want to be Professor X? But yeah, so there's that. You got some intrigue going on with some corporate espionage, we have to assume. And then there's all the street level fun of being a criminal in a cyberpunk dystopia. So, I mean, I feel like it being a Trigger show, it's a little bit of what you see is what you get. If they end up with aliens by the end of this, I will be very surprised for once. Because it just doesn't feel like it's going to go that way. But it is Trigger still. So... Speaking of it being Trigger, how is this feeling as far as a Trigger show?
I will repeat my statement, as I said earlier. It didn't feel like an anime, so if I didn't know that this was from Trigger, I probably wouldn't have guessed it was from Trigger.
Interesting.
Yeah, I also did not realize it was from Trigger.
I think it's mostly an art style thing, because this is very different from their typical art style.
True.
Because for some reason, it reminds me a lot more of Castlevania. A little bit. At least with the eyes. Maybe I'm crazy. But...
I don't think you're wrong.
But this is like what I imagine like an Americanized anime would look like. Or an American show that's at least modeled off of anime.
The production company says Trigger and CD Projekt, which is the group that made the game, so of course they'd be involved. But I'm also wondering whether maybe they also had a hand in a little bit of like the character design and animation department that might be contributing to that a little bit.
They did. CD Projekt Red was a consultant on the anime.
Okay, and that probably has a thing to do with it.
It's not even so much character design, to be honest. It's kind of also just tone and how the story kind of played out. I don't know if I'm making sense, but
no,
it's just
I think I hear you.
When you think of like a Studio Trigger show, you think like Bright, I feel like.
I feel like ultimately the thing is I know this is not going to have a happy ending, and I feel like most Trigger shows have some degree of a happy ending.
Also, I feel like
did you watch Gurren Lagann?
I don't know. You know, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who wants to watch the rest of it, but I don't feel like they, you know, lose in the end.
That doesn't mean it was a happy ending.
I think it was happier than what it could have been. I'm just saying the bad guys don't win by the end of it. That's what I'm basically saying. This feels like the end game is going to be, whoever the mega corporations and all that are, they're probably going to end up winning, just because that's usually the way these kind of stories in this setting go.
Don't remind me of 1984.
This is, I think, taking place before the game, so...
Yes, it's 1 year before the game. It's 2076.
Yeah. That kind of, right there in and of itself, they can't resolve anything.
That's true.
Because everything's resolved in the game.
Ah, okay. I mean, but like outside of that, outside of like the animation and that, this does very much still feel like a Trigger show. Kids starting out with pretty much nothing, then finding some sort of super weapon and immediately being the best there is at using that super weapon, hooking up with a band of funny and colorful characters, and then taking on the representation, a little less allegorical this time, but, you know, essentially capitalism and the class systems in society that are crushing everybody. And, high-octane violence. That sounds like a Trigger show to me. And a lot of ass.
Yeah, this one's very gory.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think the thing for me with Trigger shows is, like, I feel like they're usually a little bit faster paced, at least with the action, but that's me.
No, I think
I don't know.
That picks up in the second half, not gonna lie. Like, they spend a lot on setup.
Yeah.
And getting you attached to the characters. And then once that second half hits, it's boom, 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 boom.
I mean, that being said, I think Chibi may still have a point even in the second half, because I don't know if part of it is David's like super move of like going fast so everything goes in slow motion a little bit. The fights did feel a little bit on the slower side, but I'd almost wonder maybe that was to sort of punctuate the more gory elements, whereas other Trigger shows tend to be a little faster paced to add maybe a little bit more comedic element to it. But I could be wrong here. I don't know. I might have to go back and like look at it compared to some other fight scenes from some of their other shows to actually figure it out, but I'm kind of agreeing with Chibi a little bit on that one.
And I will also say that this doesn't feel nearly as over the top as some of their other stuff this is. I feel this is a lot more subdued, at least in a lot of aspects.
I'd imagine it's probably because this is one of the few times they've worked on something that wasn't like their IP.
True.
So they probably have to stick to whatever tone. And I mean, especially if it's going to be set before the video game and has to like feed into a storyline or something, then it probably would have to match the tone of whatever that was going to be. Which I'm assuming the game.
It's not as cartoonish.
Yeah, I'm assuming the game is not Kill a Kill.
Yeah, no. That's honestly Studio Trigger. First thing I think of is Kill a Kill.
Yeah.
I mean,
the game is John Wick is inside of your head, but also a druggie.
Hey, man.
That sounds about right.
I don't know about you. John Wick's always inside my head.
I mean, the game is pretty much Cyberpunk Grand Theft Auto, so you kind of take it as you will with that.
I was gonna bring up Grand Theft Auto because, like, the in episode 3 where they steal the car, it kind of did remind me a little bit of, because you have one character in Grand Theft Auto 5 and you kind of like slow down time a little bit while you're driving.
Yeah,
remind me of that.
But I'll be honest, I kind of disagree with you guys in terms of the animation and action. I still got Trigger vibes from it. I think the art style is probably what's the big difference. It doesn't have the exact same Trigger style as you would see from some of their original shows, but I still thought it was, anime-esque, and I still thought the action was crazy, just not, batshit insanity. It's like a 7 on the extreme scale, when most of their shows are like a 9 or a 10.
Yeah. I'm trying to...
One thing I will say was, like, very lacking. That's usually pretty upfront and memorable for, like, something Trigger-related. None of the music really stands out in this.
Very fair. Very fair. It's got some good beats, but I can't tell you any of the lyrics. That any of them got stuck in my head.
Part of that, I don't know that... Well, I think there was some lyrics in at least one of the songs, but it wasn't in English. But I think that might have to do more with the setting itself. I'm imagining the soundtrack to the game is probably a little more like the soundtrack to this.
I would say there's not much of a soundtrack in the game either, because a lot of the game is about your internal dialogue with Keanu Reeves.
I mean, I think... I could be wrong here, but I do feel like a lot of futuristic type media will usually not go with songs, I guess. They usually will kind of like lean a little more to the electronic side of things and more of like beats and vibes and lo-fi a little bit.
Yeah, but like even then, like there was nothing like really stand out about this. Like there usually is in a trigger show.
What about the openings and endings?
Nope.
No?
Can't remember them.
Weren't vibing with that?
Can't.
I at least like the visuals in the opening. I thought those were pretty nice.
Can't remember them.
Oh, dear.
And I just watched it today.
Oh, dear. I just watched it today, too. We'll see if I remember it tomorrow.
I'll be honest. I listened to the opening. And this is extreme for me, but I listened to the opening for the first episode, and I wasn't too crazy about it, so I skipped the opening for, the rest of the episodes. And usually I don't skip openings.
I think that's different.
I do remember the visuals being good, but like the music, man.
I might be wrong, but I think they had a different opening for the first episode and the second one.
No, so the opening didn't play until the end of the first episode. And then
and then they had a different ending for the second. Okay.
Yes. It's one of those. I feel like at least I believe it was.
Well, sometimes.
But
I feel like the ending may have featured the moon.
It did. Yeah, it's like the opening is David's and the ending is Lucy's. And I don't know for sure, and don't spoil it if it is, but I feel like the opening may have spoiled the very end of this show. I'm going to assume.
Wouldn't be the first time an anime opening has spoiled an anime.
I have to very quickly rewatch the opening.
I don't remember it.
Just look for go and look at the last shot of it, and I think you're probably gonna be like, oh yeah, you're right, Al. If my knowledge of tropes of things is still accurate, I'm gonna probably say that it's we're not looking at a good ending here. So, who did you guys like as far as the characters in that?
Rebecca.
I was gonna say Rebecca's the fan favorite by far.
I liked Rebecca. I liked Maine.
Okay, yeah. This opening was fun.
I liked David. I generally had positive feelings for most of the characters. So, no complaints.
I have to assume that Rebecca does more in the last 4 episodes than she did here. Not that she wasn't there or that she wasn't interesting. I just feel like there's something else here that I haven't seen yet that makes everybody love her so much.
She's just a gremlin. That's why people love her.
And I get
That's
that.
fair.
I did see that, and that was good. But I'm like, favorite character yet? I'm thinking these last 4 episodes have to include some pretty good scenes with her somehow.
Okay, Elle, are you talking about the gunshot through the head?
Oh yeah, at the end of that episode, or the end of the opening, or is that metaphorical?
That is definitely metaphorical.
Okay, but it still feels like it's going to be somehow.
This does not end with a hole in his skull.
I wasn't thinking it might literally happen that way. I'm just thinking oh, maybe it's going to happen in a metaphorical way. Well, Chibi, you were saying something about 1984? Or am I thinking of Brazil?
Oh, I don't know. All I thought... they said hole in the head and I just thought lobotomy.
I will say he's pretty brain dead by the end of this.
Oh, that makes sense.
Just in terms of the decisions he starts making.
Oh, this is
which might be why I don't like David, honestly.
Oh dear.
I haven't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah.
Right now I just feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about a first episode that will get you on the side of the main character by just having the entire world beat the shit out of him, I mean, this is a pretty good first episode for that.
Yeah, they kill his mom because they didn't have good insurance.
Yep.
I think this is controversial, but I kind of don't like Lucy.
I don't like Lucy either.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little lukewarm with her.
I liked her.
She kind of looked at a high schooler and said, I'm gonna tap that.
I will say, without getting into spoilers, her personality did, for me, shift a little bit from how she started at the beginning of the anime to how she ends at the end. You could say that the beginning of the anime was her putting on a facade and her real personality came out earlier, but I kind of liked her more in the beginning when she was...
I still didn't like her.
Well, I mean, I was just trying to say, maybe I like the way that she was portrayed in the first couple episodes and towards the end, but I still didn't mind her overall.
She gives me Catwoman vibes.
A little bit.
Very guarded.
I feel like they nerfed her character a lot in the second half because we kind of get like this sense that Lucy's very independent, very badass. She can take care of herself because she's been having to do it for so long.
Yeah.
And they kind of take that and they throw it out the window.
I hate to say it, I feel like a lot of times they'll do that with Catwoman too.
Yeah.
Like she's amazing and she does everything by herself.
She's 24 at the start?
Something like that.
Ew.
Yeah, I feel like with Catwoman every time, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, she's like amazing and independent and like doesn't need any help from anybody, but as soon as her and Batman start like fucking, she's like, no, I need you. We need each other. But they always reset it anyway to like, now you don't. So.
I feel like that's just kind of like a trend that they'll normally take with that type of character.
Yeah.
Like they'll give her more of a regressive arc to make the male lead look good, or to actually like give him some form of support, which is like a detriment to said female character. I don't like that trope. It makes me mad. Blech.
Yeah.
And honestly, she was kind of like interesting and sort of aloof, and I was kind of like, okay, this is fine, but I don't like that.
I liked the blonde woman.
Oh, Dario?
Yeah,
Big
Dario.
Man's girlfriend.
Yeah, Dario.
Yeah, Dario.
Yeah, she's cool. I don't feel like I got enough care of a character from her. I feel like there maybe could have been some more scenes where she got to do a little bit more, but she definitely did get some good stuff in there. It might be one of those things of like, you're cool, I want to see more of you, rather than you did a bad job, I didn't see enough of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, might be the same thing with Rebecca right now. Again, only 6 episodes in, I don't know what the last 4 are going to be. Maybe Rebecca's going to suddenly shoot into the coolest character that I've ever seen in the show.
Okay.
But
Envy, is episode 8 where everything starts heading into like the finale type deal?
I mean, after the end of episode 6, the final 4 episodes are kind of like one final arc for David slowly doing something. So it kind of builds onto one another.
Slowly doing. I appreciate how you're trying to not give me spoilers, but I just like how you can literally slot anything into slowly doing something. Slowly starting a small business.
Okay.
Slowly becoming a fashion designer. Slowly
starting an MLM. Not to spoil it, but
nothing for nothing. How bad do you think MLMs are in this in this universe?
Oh,
they're terrible.
Awful.
Yeah.
Al, did you get to like where they were showing like the cyber madness yet?
Yes, I did. Very interesting. Okay. I did enjoy that. I thought like it's it's a kind of editing style of something like that you've kind of seen before a few times, but I think they do it very well here.
And you still didn't really feel much for Dario?
No, I felt for Dario, which is why I wanted more Dario.
Oh.
What I'm saying, it's not like the show's doing a bad job with Dario. I needed more. I'm saying you did a good job with Dario. I want more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, why is she just like a third-rate character?
It's kind of like, I feel like that's like a lot of times when I complain about I didn't get enough of this person, it's usually because like, I like you, I would like more. But then I'm also in my head kind of going like, but if I get too much, is it gonna ruin what I already have? You know what I mean? Sometimes certain characters are like, you're there for just the right amount and it makes you really good. And it is better to leave them wanting more. So I don't know. That or...
the classic Firefly versus Supernatural dilemma.
Yeah.
I feel like if we had more of her, how the show ends definitely would have been different.
I mean, probably. Don't want to say anything. I'm a little ahead of somebody, and other people are ahead of me, so we're just not going to say anything. We're just not going to say anything. Oh no, she starts an MLM.
What?
Instantly
what exactly
becomes
is that
my least
again?
favorite multi-level. It's a pyramid
Multi-level
scheme.
marketing.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
But it's illegal.
Think like Lululemon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Row.
Well, it definitely wouldn't be LuLaRoe because she does not wear clothes.
Yeah.
Oh.
She never wears a shirt. She's just shy of the nudist beach style of dress.
Yeah.
Okay, but she like perfectly encapsulated Step on Me Mommy.
Speaking of, was she ever wearing pants? She had cyber legs. Do you have to wear pants with cyber legs?
Do you have to wear pants at all?
Good point.
I mean, I don't know. For some reason, within the first 3 episodes, I remember there being a couple of scenes with people not wearing pants. Out in public.
Yeah, I don't think Rebecca ever wears pants. She's got her underwear and an oversized jacket, and honestly, that's a mood.
I feel like there's a little Rebecca in all of us who just wants to run around in their underwear and an oversized hoodie.
No, she does not ever wear pants.
There you go. Huh. Leaning even more into that.
It's the future. You're not required to wear pants in the future.
Hey man, I love the future.
She would have like an essential oils MLM, not a clothing MLM.
Ooh.
No.
She sells snake oil as the cure to cyber madness.
You see how big she is? I think she's one of them, what was the one from like the 80s? Nutri something? I don't know. One of those like vitamin supplements or
like
something.
Like vitamin supplements,
yeah.
Nutrisystem.
No, that's a weight loss system, I thought.
It is.
Well,
or is that also an MLM?
I mean...
It's like a Vita Life or something like that.
I think that might have been it.
There's been a million.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna say, I don't think Lucy's wearing pants either.
No.
I think she's wearing shorts.
Like that one suit, right?
Yeah.
She's wearing like
shorts and leg warmers.
And kind of like the one. I mean, it's. I think it's kind of based on it's based on the Major from Ghost in the Shell, who kind of also has like a weird kind of swimsuit belt situation going on.
Like 2 people in the entire like little group they have wear pants, and David's one of them.
It's a lifestyle choice, my friends.
Yeah, man. If we could live in a society where you didn't always have to wear pants, would you wear pants?
Honestly, no. Mood.
Exactly.
Guys, like...
Oh no. This is what everyone learned working from home. The joys of not having to wear pants.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, there was a stretch of time during COVID where as soon as I got home, I'm like, pants off.
That's assuming I put on pants to begin with.
I worked in public for the first part of the pandemic, so...
Oh boy. See, this is kind of the debate that I'm kind of thinking about. I want to live in a future where I don't have to wear pants, but do I want to live under crushing capitalism and megacorporations? Is it worth it? Maybe?
I see you and I raise you. Wear a skirt.
Okay. The breeze, very nice. But also can allow me to sit on something and not worry about what I'm sitting on.
Yes.
That's the one disadvantage without pants. You can't sit anywhere you want.
I mean...
And if you want the feeling of going pantsless, you can just hike the skirt up.
Maybe. These are a lot. You give me a lot to think about today. And
well,
I think the main thing that you should try, any sign of a good show is, any type of good media is, did it give you something good to think about? Pants. In the pantsless society. No, I feel like it's
pants and how they are a tool used for oppression.
Yeah. And how come some people don't get pockets?
Please don't get us started on this.
I won't. But it's been said.
I will say I cosplay Rebecca twice so far, and both times at a convention, I was looking for a David, and they all had t-shirts on under their like construction jacket. I'm like, if my tits are out, your tits should be out.
I'll put my tits out.
Cosplay however you feel comfortable, but I'm a little disappointed.
All right, let's do this. I'll put my tits out.
Wow.
All right. Anyone else have any stuff they immediately want to say about this and kind of like get out there?
It won the Crunchyroll Anime Year of the Award, not last year, but 2 years ago. So that was a big shock.
That's something.
Because it was literally sandwiched in between Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, and Jujutsu Kaisen, or at least a part of Jujutsu Kaisen, or maybe it was just Demon Slayer and Attack on Titan, and it beat both of them out, and everyone did not expect it to win.
Which season of Attack on Titan? Because I feel like some of them have been a little not
the final season, like season 4.
It was the one before the final season, or the final season part 1, though.
Oh,
not
yeah, it was the rumbling. It was the rumbling. Spoilers, love spoilers.
Okay.
I will say, if you want to play the game, you don't really need the show. And if you play the game, or if you watch the show, you don't really need to play the game. Like, they are not very connected. You can just enjoy one of them without the other.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is kind of like Fate
like,
Zero.
Knowing what a brain dance is going into it helped a little with the show, but they're kind of standalone.
Yeah, like, if you watch the show, if you, like, expect kind of, like, the same thing going into the game, you're actually going to be pretty disappointed. Like, coming from the game to the show, the expectation was really only that we were getting more of the world, which is what people wanted. But, like, I feel like the game doesn't really endear you to, like, any of the characters.
But what about Keanu?
Keanu's kind of a dick in it.
Well,
I like him.
I've definitely thought about Keanu's dick plenty.
Well, there was like I said last year, the expansion that came out, Phantom Liberty, it was considered, again, I didn't play it, I have no plans to play Cyberpunk.
It was up for Game of the Year.
And it was an expansion.
For a couple things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it had, from what I heard, it had a good story, and it had good characters, and the main character of the DLC, minus V that you play as, was, I forget his name, but it was played by Idris Elba, so you know you're going to get a good acting performance.
Speaking of acting performances in that, Chibi, I know you mentioned a little bit about the dub, how you kind of felt like this was more of an American show, maybe as a result of that. How did you feel about this dub overall?
So I felt the dub was good. I definitely felt, particularly because they were using like a lot of slang, that definitely made me feel like it was more American, especially with how they localized it, because they definitely use, and I don't know if like a lot of this language is part of the game, but just how the slang is used definitely like made it feel futuristic, because a lot of times I feel like when I'm watching a dub, I don't really feel like, well, not a dub, a sub, I don't really feel like, because there's like a lack of slang, unless it's sort of like a term that they say in English, that I can't really like differentiate between them. But they used a lot of different sort of words that I wasn't really used to hearing, like, oh god, what was it? Choom?
Choom.
Choom,
yeah.
What does choom specifically mean? Because I thought it was like fucker or something.
I was like, it's like, it either means fucker or it's like just like dude or guy or man, I don't know. Just something to sort of like address a person, but
something to that effect, yeah.
And I
Which is
believe it is like a Hispanic thing, right?
I thought it was a Cyberpunk thing.
Nope, I just looked it up. It is a Neo-African-American slang used to refer to friends or family members. So, little odd. It's kind of like bro.
Okay.
I'm surprised, Chibs, that you watched the dub. I thought you would watch the sub.
Listen, I had just gotten home, I was making dinner, and I was trying to do things, so I threw it on, and I put on the subtitles, because...
I'm gonna be so fucking for real. I didn't even realize there was a subbed version of this.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, it came out at the exact same time, and I wasn't a big fan of some of the voice actors in the dub, so I immediately switched to the sub.
I guess it just felt sort of, I guess, like, the language definitely, like, helped with the atmosphere of, like, putting it where it needed to be, I guess, setting-wise, for me.
Hey, if it helps, it helps. I'm trying to think of anything else to go over here that's not spoilery for stuff. I think I'm a yay here. I mean, I'm already over halfway. I feel like sunk cost fallacy says that I have to finish it at this point, at the very
Might
least.
as well.
Absolutely nothing goes wrong and David starts a harem on the moon.
See, that's it. Oh, he slowly starts a harem on the moon?
MLM harem.
Yeah, just CC's edition there. It was an MLM harem, definitely.
So how many harem members do you have to get, and then how many harem members do those harem members have to get?
You gotta establish a downline.
Oof. I feel like I'm reading that book all over again.
Ugh, awful. Anyway, but yeah, I think I'm a yay here. I don't think it's going to be able to do a whole lot to make me think un-yay at this point, but, you know, we'll see what happens in the last 4 episodes.
I'm a yay here. I'm not sure if I'll probably go on to keep watching it, because brain tired, as I usually am with pretty much everything. But I enjoyed what I got to see of it.
I mean, I watched all 10 episodes, so yeah, it's a yay for me. I didn't love it like a lot of people did, but I still enjoyed it for what it was, and I had fun with it. I'm glad I did watch it, and I'm glad I experienced some part of the Cyberpunk 2077 world, because like I said, I'm never playing that game, so there goes that.
We could play the role-playing game at some point.
I could do that. I would do that. It's probably, you said it was like the 80s, so yeah, that's pretty
well. Yeah, but they probably have later editions at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got 2nd, 4th editions, Cyberpunk 2020, Cyberpunk Red. Yeah, they probably got, there was one that came out in 2020.
Wow. Timely.
That was a tie-in, though, for the game. I do remember that.
The updated edition of the tabletop game?
Yeah, they did. I remember, I don't know if it was coincidence, but I think it did come out to coincide with 2077.
Maybe.
It didn't have elements of the game in it, but they just wanted to capitalize on it.
All right.
Shows a yay for me. It was a miserable experience, and I loved it. I am excited to build my Rebecca cosplay further and eventually play the game at some point.
Yay, I get to be different. I'm actually kind of a meh here because I really did enjoy most of the show, but like I feel like the final 2 episodes kind of choke. Like it's not a satisfying payoff to the build-up they establish. Even if you go in feeling like it might end a certain way and you're not gonna get what you want, I feel like just the way they end it is kind of a giant fuck you to everyone.
Oh dear.
I'm saying this for one particular thing, and Cece knows.
I know it too. I'm not gonna say it.
I'm very interested now. Well, I'm definitely gonna have to finish this, and I'm definitely gonna have to fit that in while we're looking at the rest of this month and the things moving forward. So moving along with Trigger Month, we're chugging along real good. How many times have we mentioned Kill la Kill at this point?
A lot over the years.
Too many.
Well, you guys just want to watch that next week? Sound like a good idea? Cool.
Might as well.
Kill la Kill, Little Witch after that, and then we'll be moving on to another month of different things. Who knows what may come up, but yeah, come back for Kill la Kill, Studio Trigger's first anime, and the thing that really introduced us to all of them that wasn't Gurren Lagann, I guess.
Okay, I feel like you don't need to be so cryptic. If people can't, like, take a guess what the theme is for next month, like, they're living under a rock.
Well, they can live under that rock, and we can rip that rock off in June. Don't worry about it. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye!
Bye!
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoy this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!